The RNC is proud to be partnering with the Republican Jewish Coalition for this third presidential primary debate in Miami. Joining us now is the CEO of the RJC, Matt Brooks. Thank you for joining us.
Great to be here. We're really looking forward to the debate on Wednesday.
Yeah, so I was hoping you could give people watching at home a bit of a rundown of the RJC, the organization, what the organization does, and anything else really.
Sure. So we are a national grassroots organization of Jewish Republicans. We've been around since the mid-1980s. In fact, we have 75,000 members all across the country who are very deeply concerned about U.S.-Israel relations, national security, anti-Semitism here at home. We have offices around the country, and we really have become a preeminent voice in the Republican Party, both in terms of our legislative agenda and trying to make sure that the issues of concern for the American Jewish community are addressed by our terrific Republican allies in the House and the Senate and in the White House when we have the White House. But also we're engaged in trying to move via our political arms the Jewish vote more toward the Republicans, and we've been really pleased and impressed with the trends that have been moving in favor of the Republicans in the Jewish community.
So what are you expecting from this first debate? This is the first time that a Jewish organization has partnered with either political party to host a primary debate. What are you expecting from this debate?
Well, first of all, we're incredibly humbled and honored that the RNC chose to partner with us. You're exactly correct. This is the first time ever in either party that a Jewish organization has been a partner in a national presidential debate. And the fact that Chairman McDaniel has reached out to us and asked us to participate means a great deal, especially at this moment in time with everything that's happening over in Israel. We think that the issues that we're going to talk about at the debate are so important, not just for the American people to hear, but also our friends over in Israel to know that they have such strong support from our Republican presidential candidates, and also the international community. They need to know as well that despite mixed signals coming from the Biden administration, there is zero daylight between the Republicans running for president and Israel, and that they fully support Israel's right to defend itself from Hamas, eradicate the threat from Hamas, and ultimately destroy Hamas. So we're really looking forward to all of that coming out of the debate.
So it really does seem like recently we've been really horrified by the anti-Semitism we've seen on college campuses, members of Congress repeating Hamas propaganda and refusing to retract it after all the facts come out and fully debunk it. When you see that sort of really horrifying actions from members of Congress, what's your reaction to that? What do you say to the American people when you see that?
Look, it's heartbreaking because when you see, for instance, in Washington this week, and it's been happening in major cities all across the country, these sympathy rallies, it's a binary choice. These rallies are not to support the Palestinian people. They're there to support Hamas terrorism, in effect. And this is really a time where we need to take a good, hard look at who is with us and who is against us. And for far too long, I think we have a problem in this country, and it's been brewing for a while of rising anti-Semitism. There's no question about that, on the right and on the left. When it's on the right, we from an RJC perspective work very hard to put an end to it. And it's limited. The problem with on the left is it's integrated into the very fabric and fiber of our country. This is anti-Semitism that's being tolerated, promoted, and encouraged on American college campuses, in the halls of Congress. And there is no accountability, and there is nobody being held to task for doing it. And that's how it seeps into the broader public, and that's why it's so troubling.
It does seem like the contrast between Republican candidates, like you mentioned, saying we stand with Israel 100%, Israel's rights to defend itself, Hamas must be eradicated, versus a Democratic Party that's calling for a ceasefire, in their words, which really would just be a gift to Hamas. That contrast really does seem to be growing recently, especially in recent weeks, as we've seen the reaction to these horrific attacks that happened.
Yeah, there's no question. It's like I said, it's a binary choice. It's a choice between good and evil, and you have to pick a side as to where you want to stand. But you make a good point. One of the things I talk about a lot in my speeches is how the two parties have diverged in terms of its support for Israel, which is quite honestly one of the reasons that we've been getting more and more support among Jewish voters for Republicans. Any single Republican on any day, anywhere in the country can go to a not just in the midst of everything that's happening after October 7th, but for years they could walk into any Republican event, stand up, say, I stand with Israel, and it's an automatic applause line. You can't do that in the Democratic Party. If someone stood up at a Democratic Party event anywhere in the country on any day and said, I stand with Israel, they'd likely be booed or hissed off the stage. And I think that's the sad reality of where the two parties is. There is only one pro-Israel party right now, and it's the Republicans.
And we've seen that in an organization like the DNC, for example, where we saw over the weekend dozens of staffers writing a letter saying that Biden was standing too strongly with Israel. I think if there's criticism of Biden's policy, it's that he's not standing strongly with Israel enough. Yep. I mean, so I think you're exactly right to point that out. And these marches we've seen all over these cities in the country with Democrats implicitly encouraging them with rhetoric that they're repeating, it really is concerning. When you go and you talk to voters, how do you explain this distinction between what we're seeing in the Republican Party versus the Democratic Party? Voters that might be concerned, maybe saying, I was a Democrat, but I'm seeing this. How do you express that? How do you talk with a voter like that who's worried about what they're seeing?
So we've been doing that. I mean, that's been one of the cornerstones of our messaging for quite some time. In fact, we started under President Obama about running an ad campaign, a series of ad campaigns, which were personal testimonials from people who were lifelong Democrats who are now voting Republican. And we called it My Buyer's Remorse, meaning, they had bought into believing that the Democratic Party was supportive of the things they cared about. And over time, they saw that erode and are now supporting and voting Republican. And we will continue to do that and tell those stories. But it's becoming increasingly clear just by reading the newspaper. We don't have to do a lot of the heavy lift because it's splashed across the papers and the news every single day.
So one of the great things that you had as well recently was the conference you had in Las Vegas, where Republican candidates came. I was hoping you could tell people more about that, the support that you saw there, messages you heard from some of these candidates, really just describing what happened there.
So it really was an incredible conference. We do these conferences every year in Las Vegas, and we really attract the top echelons of the Republican Party to come and address our organization. Obviously, with the events of October 7th, it took on an even greater significance to be able to have all those folks come to join us. It was the largest one we've ever had in history, and it really allowed them to show their solidarity. And so, I was reflecting on this, and I was, sort of struck by the fact that, I don't think there's any other political organization in the country that would be able to have and to get the kind of speakers that we had for our Vegas conference. I mean, we had everybody from President Trump to all the other major presidential candidates. The new Speaker of the House, literally in office for 36 hours, dropped everything that he had to do in terms of transitioning into the office, flew out across the country and keynoted our dinner Saturday night along with Majority Leader Scalise. The depth of speakers we had was impressive, and I think it's a testament to how deeply our Republican leaders care about Israel, how much they support it, and how much they wanted to be here with the Jewish community while we're, in this time of, this traumatic time, and to show and help us, with the healing process that we're all going through right now.
Yeah, I think it was a testimony to, I heard Speaker Johnson talking about this in a recent interview. First things that they do when he comes into office as Speaker, pass a resolution supporting Israel, flies to the conference to really stand in solidarity with Israel, to really express support for Israel, and then comes back, passes an aid package for Israel. 1, 2, 3, really seems like it's a high priority for the Republican Party and the new Speaker.
Yeah, there's no question. And, the values of the Republican Party are so aligned with the values of the Jewish community as it relates to Israel and the need for Israel to have the support from the U.S. elected officials at this difficult time. And it's really, again, as you said, a great reflection on the Speaker, who we think is going to do a terrific job. He really connected with the audience in Las Vegas. It showed that this was personal to him. The reality is that all of the speakers we had in Las Vegas, and I think this is an important point, obviously with the exception of the speaker, because he was only speaker for 36 hours, but every single one of the speakers that we had on the program in Las Vegas had actually confirmed and agreed to participate before October 7th. So it's not like I got a bunch of flurry of calls on October the 8th saying, hey, we really want to be there. These were people who had already made a commitment to be there and thought it was important enough to stand with the Jewish community even prior to the October 7th tragedy. So we're encouraged by that. And again, I think it speaks volumes of where our party is today.
And I think to that point of where our party is today, that's why I think this partnership, RNC, RJC, is so important and why we're so proud to be partnering with the RJC on this debate.
We're one letter apart, so it's a great partnership. I have been fortunate enough over my career to work with various RNC chairmen, from Frank Fahrenkopf when I first started, and then Lee Atwater and Haley, and going on and on, Jim Nicholson, Ryan, I mean, we've had a great relationship with the chairmen that have come before, but Rana is in a special place. She is such a terrific friend of Israel. We've been fortunate enough to travel to Israel with her twice. Once we went with her, and she was part of our delegation for the opening of the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem, which was historic and an incredible accomplishment that President Trump brought forth. And then also we went on and did a trip to celebrate the Abraham Accords together, along with Richard Walters and Rana, and we went to Saudi Arabia, we were in Riyadh, we were in Bahrain, we were in the United Arab Emirates, and we were in Israel together. There has never been an opportunity that she has missed to not stand with the Jewish community. She's an incredible voice and an incredibly passionate defender of Israel, and it has really elevated the relationship between our two organizations in a way that's historic and unprecedented, and something that we value very, very deeply.
And a partnership I'm sure will only grow and get even better, especially with this historic first time ever partnering on a primary presidential debate.
Yeah, we're so excited.
Well, thank you so much for breaking that down. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thanks for having me. This is great. Thank you.
We'll be right back in just a few minutes with more on the debate. Stay tuned.